It was a rainy Thursday afternoon when Mia discovered the letter tucked behind the old dresser in her late mother's attic, a place she hadn't stepped into since the funeral 6 months ago. Her fingers trembled as she unfolded the faded paper, her heart beating faster with every line. The letter wasn't addressed to her, it was to someone named Daniel, dated 17 years ago, the year Mia was born. The words spoke of a love that had been forbidden, of a child kept secret, of dreams that had been sacrificed for silence. Mia's breath caught in her throat. Her mother, the woman she idolized for her unwavering principles and quiet strength, had lived a life Mia never knew about. Questions swirled like the storm outside. Who was Daniel? Was he her real father? And why had her mother kept this hidden, burying it so deep that only fate had uncovered it now? Mia couldn't shake the feeling that her whole identity had just cracked open. She stared at the handwriting she knew so well, suddenly foreign, as if the woman who wrote it had never existed. Memories rushed back, birthdays, bedtime stories, the long talks at the kitchen table. Were they all laced with lies? She found herself crying, not just for the secrets, but for the years lost to pretending. She had grown up believing her father had died in a car crash when she was 2. The framed photo on the hallway wall, his warm smile, the officer's uniform, was that all staged? The name Daniel now echoed in her mind louder than her own heartbeat. She needed to know the truth. She needed to know who she really was. That night, sleep evaded her. She sat by her window, holding the letter like a lifeline to a past she never lived, knowing tomorrow she would begin a journey that could shatter everything, or finally make her whole. The next morning, Mia began digging. She searched through her mother's things, journals, documents, anything with Daniel's name. At last, she found a photo, old, creased, and worn, of a man with the same deep-set eyes she saw in the mirror every day. On the back, in her mother's handwriting, "Daniel, my once, my always." Mia's heart ached with a strange longing. She took the photo and the letter, and drove 3 towns over to visit her godmother, Aunt Rosa, the one person left who might have answers. Rosa's face paled when she saw the letter. She told Mia everything. Daniel had been her mother's first love, but he was already married when they met. Their affair was short, passionate, and ended with Mia's birth. To protect Daniel's family, and herself, her mother had cut all ties. Her husband, the man Mia thought was her father, knew the truth but had loved Mia as his own, raising her in peace rather than shame. It wasn't betrayal, Rosa said. It was protection. Love, complicated but real. Mia felt torn. Her life had been built on a lie, yet every lie had held her in love's embrace. Could she blame her mother? Could she hate a woman who had given up everything just to preserve a sense of normal for her child? And what about Daniel? Was he still alive? Did he even know she existed? Her mind spiraled with the weight of the unknown. But deep inside, she also felt something she hadn't felt since the funeral. Purpose. She decided to write Daniel a letter. Whether he answered or not, she needed to speak her truth. She told him everything, the attic, the letter, the confusion, the ache. She ended with a single sentence that bled from her soul. "I don't need answers. I just want to know if you ever looked at the stars and thought of me." She mailed it without expectation. Weeks passed. Life blurred. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. It was short, handwritten, from Daniel. His words trembled through the ink. "I always wondered. I always hoped. I'm so sorry. I'm here if you're willing." Mia read it again, and again, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. The truth hadn't broken her, it had freed her. She didn't know what would come next. She didn't know if this man, a stranger who might be her father, could ever be family. But she knew one thing, her mother hadn't lied out of malice. She had lied out of love. And sometimes, the echoes of emotions we carry aren't there to haunt us, but to guide us back to who we really are. Mia stood in the doorway of the cafe, clutching the letter in her coat pocket like a secret she wasn't ready to share. She had asked Daniel to meet her in the place her mother once wrote about in her journals, a small seaside town, quiet and untouched by time. The air smelled of salt and possibility, and every footstep felt like walking deeper into a life she wasn't sure was hers. She spotted him immediately. Daniel sat at a corner table beneath the window, a scarf wrapped neatly around his neck, his hands trembling around a ceramic coffee cup. His eyes, her eyes, lifted when she approached, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. Mia slid into the seat across from him, her breath shallow, the world fading into the hum of the ocean outside. "I didn't expect you to come," he said softly, voice weighted with time and regret. "I almost didn't," she replied, her hands fidgeting in her lap. Daniel reached into his coat and pulled out a photograph, her, at 5 years old, laughing on a swing. "I've had this for years," he said, his voice cracking. "Your mother sent it once without a return address." Mia stared at the image, tears blurring the edges. "She told me she had to protect you," Daniel continued. "And I let her." He looked away, ashamed. "I was weak, Mia. I should have fought harder." She didn't answer right away. She was still trying to decide what she felt, relief, anger, grief, or some strange blend of all three. Instead, she asked, "Why didn't you look for me?" Daniel flinched. "I did," he whispered. "But by the time I gathered the courage, she had disappeared. I hired people. I searched records. I wrote letters to nowhere. I convinced myself it was what she wanted. That maybe you were better off without me." Mia watched his face as he spoke, the same lines of pain she saw in the mirror some nights. "I didn't want to break what she'd built," he added. "And I was scared I didn't deserve you." Mia looked down at the photo again. It was real. This man wasn't a stranger anymore, he was part of the foundation she never knew was missing. "I don't know what you deserve," she said finally, "but I think I deserve to know who I came from." Daniel nodded. "I'd like to be whatever you need, even if it's just answers." The conversation stretched into hours. Childhood stories, missed birthdays, quiet apologies, shared silence. She learned he loved jazz, like her. That he had written poetry that no one ever read. That he had a daughter, her half-sister, who died in a car crash at 16. Pain knew pain. It recognized itself in the way their voices faltered, in the way their laughter cracked like old wood. Before she left, Daniel handed her a small notebook, her mother's, apparently sent to him years ago, pages filled with poems and confessions. That night, back in her hotel room, Mia read every page. Each line was a thread woven between two lives lived apart, finally stitched together by truth. Her mother had written about her fears, her sacrifices, her guilt, but mostly, about love. A love so consuming it broke her to keep it hidden. The final page held a poem that simply read, "If ever she finds him, tell her I never stopped looking through the stars for the shape of her soul." Mia pressed the notebook to her heart and cried, not out of sadness, but because the storm inside her had finally found calm. She wasn't just someone's daughter anymore. She was her mother's legacy, her father's second chance, and her own beginning.